And with this, to help us understand more about this discussion is Bishop Mike Brown from Nakuru County. He'll be making us understand what exactly is the church's role in mitigating coronavirus pandemic. Pastor Bishop Mike Brown, let's begin from that first aspect. Role of church in mitigating coronavirus pandemic. Talk to us.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Of course, it has been a tough time for everyone in the nation, but as a church, we have taken very special position because every situation, when we get different challenges, you also require to face it in a different way. And one of the way we have done it is that we have been able to reach.
All right. Pastor Mike Brown talking to us about the role of the church in curbing coronavirus pandemic. Remember, this is among the biggest sectors, especially in the aspect of ensuring that people get the right, legit, and correct information in how best they can contain this disease. So, Bishop Mike, as you were telling us in terms of how the church can mitigate this pandemic, keep going.
Yes, we have been going to house, which is amazing. And while we have been going to housewives, one of the things is that we have been able to provide as many face masks as possible, as many so that our people may be able to cover themselves. And also we have been able to provide some sanitation. And the fact that we don't gather on Sundays, we gather groups where they can arrange themselves so that as a church we can educate them, because these are our members who believes in us for many, many years. And also it has been an opportunity for us to feed them, because for all this year, these people have been feeding us. So one of the things we have done in every group we have provided like what we call the test, which helps them to know their temperature, and so that people can live healthy, wash their hands. So everything that is needed, we have encouraged them to follow every law that the government has set down. But one of the things that has been important is to encourage them, because what destroys people at this moment, it is not just even the corona itself. It is the fear and the discouragement and the stress that people are going through, especially those who are in poor places where they have no hope completely.
All right, just before we continue with the discussion, you've mentioned something which will bring me to another question, which is also what Kenyans have been asking about. And you've said that, yes, you know, the congregants or the faithfuls, they have been feeding you, and it is time for you to feed them, which ultimately brings the whole aspect of, yes, you are coming in play to see how best you can help your members. But now, this brings the another aspect of payment of tithes and offerings. So many people have been asking this question, that is it correct and right for faithfuls or Christians to continue paying tithes, continue paying offerings, and yet they're not going to church, as it were? What is your take on that?
Yeah, one of the things is that when we give tithe and offering, is not paying for any services.
Okay.
That is obedience to the Lord. It's not the payment of any services. So even when I don't go to church and God has blessed me, it is always good to give according to the word. It's more blessing to give than to receive.
Okay.
So giving is not like the way we have government or shops, people do business and then they give. So tithe is a command as Christian, and not only Christian, even our friends, the Muslim, they know giving is a heart. So my take on that is that people, even when they don't need to go to church and they are able to reach their ministers, their church people, it's good for them to send their tithe, and God will always bless them. It is amazing how God blesses people when they give. But at the same time, that's why I'm saying, why do we give tithe? The Bible is clear. So that we may have food in the house of God, so we can feed more people and help people and reach more people in season and out of season.
I like how you've answered that, tithe is, especially for the Christian faithfuls, it is important, and it just serves as an obedience to God. So, well, for those watching, especially for the Christians, just, get it from the bishop, that tithe is important. It is serving as an obedience to God and not necessarily, for church. But now coming to another aspect, Bishop Mike. So do you think that churches are called to set an example of responsible adherence to public policies, following government directives? Because over time, we've been listening to whatever the government has been trying to do in using different ministries to relay information on what citizens need to do, on what Kenyans need to follow. But coming to the church, is the church called to set an example in terms of ensuring that people follow these directives?
Yes, I think that's a very, very important question, because even the other day I was trying to appeal to the government. The best people you can use to reach the ground, apart from the chiefs, is the churches, because these people who lead the church, they are called the shepherd. They have their flocks, and the Bible says the flocks hears the voice of their shepherd. So whenever you want to relay any important information, it is very, very prerequisite to use the church, because the church has people who are committed to it as members. Some of these members, they are so committed that even when they move to another town, the first thing they do is to look for their churches.
Okay.
So, and you can change more people, and that's why it's so important for pastors, even at this moment, to try to reach their members and to encourage them, because this is a matter of death and life. It is not just a government policy, it's a matter of death and life, and encourage the people to live healthy, to wash their hands, to do everything that we have been told. But I want to encourage also the government, if they want to reach more people in the world anywhere, use the church. And that's why, like now, we are able to reach more poor in a more better way by giving them food than when the government or any other institution is doing it. And as a church, we are also be able to put accountability, that I can tell people how many people have been able to feed for the last 1 month or for the last this time. So I think it's also important for the church, for the government, to use the church sometimes to give the important information, because whether they may believe this or not, people believe their pastors. People believe their pastors. And it's very important for pastors to be used at this moment, and we can reach more people and we can help a lot, rather than just saying that the church is closed, because the church is not the building. The building can be empty, but the church are the body of Christ, the people, that they still follow us.
All right. Again, you've also mentioned something very important, that for the government to reach a wide range of people, they need to use the church, because you've brought out the aspect that people tend to believe more, especially in their religious leaders. So do you think the government has done enough in ensuring the church can be a body to pass information to people? And probably if not, what more can the government do to ensure that is taken care of?
I think that's the very, very, very place where the government has a little bit failed.
Okay.
Because there was these rumors they were trying to make that the church is all about tithe and offering.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, the church is about hope to the people. And people now, without hope, it is the greatest destroyer of destiny. Hope is the key for people. Even if there is no food, even if anything is so bad, but you give people hope, people will live for tomorrow. So I think the government need to change and encourage the pastors and make the pastors go back to the people and help people. Help people, because people are committed. I'm telling you this, my sister. People are always committed to the teacher, the pastor, and the pastor is one of the teachers. And also, those are the kind of people you will never forget their word. That's why you always hear a quote: the pastor said, the teacher said, and the doctor said. Those three people are very important in human life.
All right. Now, even as we talk about the role of the church in curbing COVID-19, we've seen at least eateries have been opened so far. A couple of them have been opened, and yes, directives have been given on what they need to do to ensure if they have to open. Now, coming to the church, there has been some leaders in different parts of the country saying that churches should also be reopened, that they are also part of essential services because they play a big role in curbing COVID-19. Let me pick your mind on that.
I don't want to call you the prophet, but you're one of the people you have prophesied well, because I'm one of those leaders that is really thinking the church should be open, even if it means to be limited to have few people. Few people, like people can be tested. I've shown you right now that we are already having the kits for testing, or not, for checking temperature,
Yeah.
cleaning our hands and everything. This social distancing is very important. We have, there are churches with a very, very big hall where they can have 100 people or even less. But it is very important as we open hotels, because man shall not live on bread alone. People need also the word of God to encourage. The hope for this situation is the word. People need encouragement. Let me tell you, the biggest death on earth is because of discouragement.
Okay.
Discouragement kills more than any disease in the world. And the only way to encourage people is when they come together, worship together, pray together. It is very, very, very important. So I would encourage, if the government can open or plan to open schools, plan to open the hotels and all these other kinds of job, we need to go back to our job. We are also serving. We need to get people in our churches.
Okay.
I even gave an opinion. A church can have many services, and a service should never last more than an hour. And that can really cover thousands of people, like in our case here in Nakuru.
All right, Bishop Mike, also there has been a lot of information going around in terms of people getting the wrong information. There has been so many theories about this disease, some even calling it the China virus. So many things have been going around in regards to this disease. And we've been seeing different sectors coming out, trying to relay proper information to individuals, to citizens. What is the church doing in ensuring people can get the right information, legit information about this disease and what exactly it's all about?
There is something I like to say, that when you listen to men many times,
Okay.
you don't hear from God. There is too much information, and because people are quarantined, they are locked down. They are always in social media trying to get more information, trying to get a lot of things from outside. And the worst one is when people threaten people by telling them, oh, this is a punishment from God. This is God's punishing us. God does not speak in that manner. So number one, I have been encouraging my people to let know this is just a calamity that has come, and
All right, Bishop Mike talking to us about what the church is doing in trying to ensure people get proper information. So just keep going. Tell us, what more are you doing as a church to ensure people get the right information?
So right now that's why we have been also encouraging. That's why you see me saying that we need to get more people around us, because at the moment we can only get few, but still those that we are able to reach, we are able to teach them what we need to do at the moment. Where the disease came from and where the disease is going, it is not important. What is important first is to stay safe, is to stay healthy. That's the most important thing. And then we teach them that there will be many theories, there are many prophets, there are many people who come up with many, many ideas. That at the moment, it is not the main reason. The main thing we teach them, let us keep ourselves healthy. Because after this thing will come to pass. That's what we say. Trouble is for a reason, but for a season. And always the season will expire before we expire. So it is very good sometimes we keep in touch, we keep healthy people, we encourage people what they should do well, rather than trying to find out how it is started. Because sometimes we try to find the problem rather than dealing with the problem which is there at the moment. So my information to my people is that don't bother, because after all, when you know maybe it was China, it was these people, all it brings is hatred.
Yeah, so all it brings is hatred. That is what Bishop Mike is saying, especially if we continue keeping in mind that this is a China virus. So yes, keep going, Bishop Mike.
Our kingdom is of love. Our kingdom is of love. So we always try to encourage people to know that this has come. It is sometimes good to know the sources of those information. But at the moment, the most important thing is to keep ourselves healthy. That is the most important. So now we are trying to get food for the people. We are trying to get clean water, soap, and disinfectant, the mask, as I shared, that we have given thousands of these masks at the moment. and we have tried to give them people information about what we know now about the disease at the moment.
Yeah.
Because the good news is this: people come out of this disease. The fact that we always hear about the increase, and we forget to hear the right voice whereby some people came out of it, some people were found negative, and sometimes we always hear bad news, and it is true. Bad news always travel fast than
Yeah.
good news. But we have good news is this thing will come to an end. So key is to keep distance. And the bad place that I need also to ask the government if they can do something about it is the market.
Okay.
You have no idea why they should shut a church and leave the open air markets where thousands of people, they are closed, they are there, they are everything. But now as a church, we are taking challenge, going to those markets also and trying to tell people, please, this is not government thing. It is your life. It is your life. Because sometimes we might think when we have these lockdowns,
Yeah.
it is punishment. I tell them it is not punishment. It is all about our life. And it's very important to follow the law when it comes for your health.
All right. It is very important to follow the law when it comes to your health. It's important to keep healthy and keep safe. That is what Bishop Mike is saying. Remember, we are having the discussion on the role of the church in curbing COVID-19. We've seen different sectors coming out to do their part and do their best. And so we are just trying to understand from Bishop Mike, what exactly is the church doing? And now coming back to you, Bishop, you've mentioned something very important, and this is in regards to providing food, especially for the less fortunate and for those that do not have access to this basic need, which is food. But have you been doing this just for your church, which is Metro Church Nakuru, or you've been doing this at least for community members around that place? And how has that process been like in that distribution of food?
First of all, it has been for the needy,
Okay.
not just the church people.
right.
Anybody that is needy. We have had even, it's amazing. Right now, I know when I finish this, there will be some people waiting for them to be given some food. Because the needy, there are people who have been locked down, their job have been shut down. I have seen poor people myself, like yesterday, we had a flood. At the same time, we have a lockdown. At the same time, there is no food. So I even offered our church hall for people who are flooded to come and sleep for that day because
Alright.
it was a bad thing. So I believe these churches should.
Yeah, talking to us about what he is doing in terms of ensuring the needy get access to this basic commodity, which is food. So what more are you doing?
So we give food because we know this. I believe in Jesus, who gave 5,000 plus people food,
Okay.
not just 5,000 people giving one person food. So it is the time we must reverse the order. All this time people have been blessing us. So it's a time for the church to go out to the people and actually to bless the people, to support the people, to give hope to the people. And that has been our heart. That has been our way we are doing. And it has been amazing to see what God is helping us to accomplish, to reach people in an amazing way during this time of need. So the key word here is that we collect food from all friends. When people give us our tithe, we have committed all our tithe to food. And some of the food is just something so simple like a maize meal and an oil and some rice. And you will make a family at least happy. Because remember this, we had paid schools for children to go to schools. And we knew nowadays children eat lunch in schools. So it was a burden that was lifted to some parents. But now that the children are at home and they still need feeding, they need to be given food, it has become a real problem. And I have seen children who have not eaten.
Okay, so that is just Bishop Mike talking to us about what he is doing as a bishop
So
to ensure
I
people, especially in his area and the needy ones, can get food. And I would love us to continue talking about this aspect of food because it is one of the things that we grappled with during this pandemic. But I want us to move to something a bit different. Now, the church has also been criticized being the weakest link, okay, in the fight against this pandemic so far. And the reasons have been cited that the church is not doing as enough or not doing what it's supposed to do. Do you agree with this statement? Yes, even I know you're a bishop, but do you think the church being regarded as the weakest link is a true statement? And if not, why?
Okay, one of the things I am ready to admit that is one of the case because the church was never given a chance
Okay.
even to be consulted as it used to be in other matters.
All right.
Only time the government need the church is when they need prayer. But after the prayer, they don't give them chance even to share their opinion, even to share what they think. Because these are the people who lives with the people. I have lived with the people for 30 years, every day ministering to them. I know them in and out. But the government will just make a decision over the people they don't know. And they make that decision at once. So I think that's what made the pastors and the leaders to be the weakest link because they would be, in fact, even us, we have been criticizing some leaders because if the president today would call people to State House for prayers, you will see those bishops rushing there. But after that, they don't speak for the church. So it's a high time right now to have leaders who will speak on behalf of the church as it used to be in the old days where people like late Zeki, Bishop Zeki used to speak for the church,
Yeah.
and many other bishops who stood when they had an opportunity and they stood firm to tell the government the way forward. Like now, there is money for food, the people are still lacking food. When some of the people, when they are given food, they arrange their families and their people. Something that the church should have stood and said, no, we want to see the poor people being fed. I was in a place where people who are given job, they don't deserve the job. People who are given food, they drive with their own cars to come and pick food, which should go for the poor people. So I think the reason of that now, the government should start involving churches
Okay.
and speak in the one spirit, not criticizing each other. We need to build one another. And if we do that, this is a great country. We're going to overcome this pandemic soon and very, very soon.
Okay, and so for those that are just wondering or probably thinking that yes, the church is being regarded as the weakest link, yes, Bishop Mike has clarified that, and he is saying that part of the reason why it might actually be true that the church is being regarded as the weakest link is because they have not been consulted enough, and if they were consulted enough, then probably they would not be regarded as this weak link. But also you've mentioned something very important. This is in regards to the National Prayer Day, and we also want to remember the fact that during the first National Prayer Day, the President acknowledged the power of God, and he said that it transcends science. So do you think that we need to have another prayer day, maybe like 2 or 3 more? Because as it stands, we probably need more prayers to save us during this pandemic. Let me pick your thoughts on that.
I want to agree with you very, very much. First of all, that's the time I honor our president so much for acknowledging. And the president of Tanzania also, he has acknowledged that the only hope, and the president of America. And by the way, the whole world, they have acknowledged the only hope is energy for prayer. What is prayer? Prayer opens heavens and it creates another energy that gives us even strength. By the way, sometimes when we pray, we increase even our immune system to be more strong because that's the only time you feel you have handed over your frustration to someone that is higher than you, someone that is above than you. When you do that, your energy level increases. So I think we need another prayer whereby people can be requested to pray and observe the distance, social distancing, but prayer of unity availeth much. 2 are better than 1. That's why Jesus said, even where 2 or 3 have gathered in his name is there, because prayer of unity. Even right now, we have our friends, the Muslims that are fasting. And I think if they pray together as their family, it creates a lot of energy and more strength to save the nation. So my request also to the president, to the leadership, they need to put prayer first. They need to put prayer first. And I am saying this from my heart. Even my friend, the CS Mtai Ngunyi, sometimes before he speaks, he should allow someone to pray. At least it gives people hope. It gives people hope because we don't want always to hear bad news, because hope deter, make a heart sick.
All right.
And we need hope. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so thank you very much, Bishop Mike Browan there, the Bishop for the Metro Church, Nakuru.